Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Mike Favors. You probably already know that if you've been following me. But today we're going to be talking about a very interesting and provocative subject called building generational wealth and the importance thereof. But before we get into the content, I got about a 2-minute clip that I want you to check out. It is a clip from Anthony Oneal that he did during Black History Month earlier this year. And I think it's going to cause for a really good question, a really good Q&A session. So let's get into that, and then I'll see you guys with the content that we have for you.
Ownership doesn't stop you from saving what your income is. We're not even saving what we're making. Right. Mm-hmm. So studies show that the average Caucasian drives a Ford F-150. Mm. Then the average African American who makes in between $50,000 and $60,000 drives a Mercedes. So I guess my question is for us, while yes, we don't own a lot, with the income that we do have, why is it that in the next 20 years, we will not have wealth?
Black people, it just goes back to the fact that Black people rather look like they have money than actually have money.
I don't want to look
Now, listen, I say that to say this. Now, listen, I say that to say this. Look at Jay-Z. Let's look at Jay-Z. Let's look at Jay-Z real quick. And I want to bring, and I was going to bring it up with an example.
I'm listening. Come on, brother.
Jay-Z, when he first got into the rap game, and you can look at yourself on the internet. Man was worth
I was there, so I'm
it was worth about $100,000.
I just shared that. I shared that 2 days ago.
I don't know how much money and jewelry he had on him. Jay-Z worth a bill was wearing just
a black
t-shirt and all that. Like that. So that's the point I'm trying to
make.
That's deceptive.
It doesn't work.
I understand
that. It's deceptive. I guarantee you that he had almost 500K.
But I'm just saying, like the flashiness, like the fact that we feel like we gotta, wear all the chains, the grills, all this stuff to show that you have money and have wealth.
When a brother used to get a dime, he'll go out and get a flashy suit and take his old lady out to the club. I mean, that's just what it was.
Yeah.
If you don't make a lot of money, if you don't have a lot, when you get that little check, you're going to go out there and try to do what you can do and stretch it and try to have a good time and show people, hey, I got a job. This is what I'm doing.
Okay, so why do we have to feel like we have to show people that? Because to his point, he was asking about saving, right?
It's a mentality shift.
I agree.
The thing that's coming to my head goes down to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Where did that even come from?
No idea.
And if you could trace where fake it till you make it even came from and realize the mentality that even is, that maybe you wouldn't even do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it all boils down to. We have been brainwashed into believing that we have to look a certain part to be allowed to come into the conversation and be inside of the room.
Welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed the clip. And as you can see, there were some very provocative questions that were raised as it relates to us being able to create and generate generational wealth. And that's what we want to discuss and talk to you about today, very briefly here. But before we do, don't forget to go down right now, like, subscribe, and please share the broadcast. Share this Apostle Mike Favors YouTube page. It would really bless me if you could do that. All right, so with that being said, when it comes to generational wealth, ladies and gentlemen, just like some of the questions and poignant points that were made within that small video clip, we've got to start to change the way we're thinking and change the way we are approaching wealth. One of the first things I believe and why I am an advocate for education is that we've got to train in terms of educational wealth. If you look at many school curriculums and things of that nature, at least from the past, many of those did not teach us about educational wealth, teach us about generating wealth, all right? Managing wealth, how to produce wealth, all right? Most of the times, even when I went to seminary, they didn't teach us about economics and how to manage the funds for the church. They just taught us a lot of theologies and a lot of Bible, which is needed. And then we graduated and they said, you're ready to go pastor church. But I found that we were in a dire need. When I graduated from ITC, I was in a dire need to figure out a way to turn scholarship into dollarship. Okay. So what did I have to do? I was forced to become creative because at the time when we planted the first Empowerment Action Center church, it was in 2009, the housing market crash bubble burst right during that same year to 2 years. And so a lot of your finances, a lot of the currency started slowing down. So I had to become creative and find ways to keep the doors of the church open, find ways to continue to be able to help the members. And one of the things that I realized is that we have to teach financial literacy. So I want to read an excerpt from a book that I read. And this book, you all know I always like to read. I'm a person who like to share. And I have a book here by Darren Shear. It's one of my D-Men books. And it's called Marketing Like Jesus. Hope you all can see that. It's called Marketing Like Jesus. Very good read. I'd suggest that you get it. It's 25 strategies to change the world. Marketing Like Jesus. And in this particular chapter, it talks about transcending dead traditions. Now, watch this, and I quote, "When jets and trucks began to dominate the transportation industry in the 1960s and 1970s, railroad companies declined rapidly. While this may seem like a logical sequence or consequence of the new advents in transportation at this time, such as commercial flight and the interstate highway system, it was the railroad companies that were in the best position to take advantage of these trends in the transportation industry." Now watch, they knew transportation better than any of these new trucking and airline companies. They should have led the shift instead of getting pushed or punished by it. Now, here's the meat of the text. As Theodore Levitt pointed out in his influential article, Marketing Myopia, the heads of these railroad companies mistakenly assumed that they were in the railroad industry when they actually were operating within the transportation industry. Because of their myopic thinking, they were focused more on gaining market share from their new railroad companies than they were on meeting customers' needs. Their customers just wanted transportation as quickly and efficiently as they could get it. They didn't necessarily need railroads to get this need met. Now, I read that to you because I want you to understand something, you all, that we are in a serious financial wealth transfer, okay? We are in a serious situation and state of where the financial shift, the wealth shift is taking place. You have more millionaires now than ever before. But the problem with sustainability and creating generational wealth is the lack of education. We are not teaching our sons and daughters. We're not preparing them. We're not equipping them. I mean, shucks, I'm in real estate. I'm getting ready to do a wholesale class here pretty soon. But here's the thing. I can give you an overview of wholesaling all day long. But if you don't know the nuts and bolts, if you don't know the strategies, if you don't know the difference between a short sale and a wholesale and a subject to and an option or a lease option or an owner financing, if you don't know the difference, how will you recognize the time to employ the strategy to get that deal done? And that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to teach our sons and daughters. We've got to begin to teach ourselves first. Financial literacy, financial education. This is going to be the mechanism by which God allows the wealth transfer to come to you. Now, let me just say this in all sincerity. It is because of the lack of education that we have a huge gap between the lower class, middle class, and upper class. Some would even say that the middle class is slowly but surely being wiped out. In the same clip, if you go look it up a little later, I'll provide you with the name and the link below. He released that statistics say by the time of 2050, African Americans would have almost 0% of wealth. And our counterparts will have almost a household median of about 150,000 per capita. Now that is a very dangerous statistic because if you keep enlarging the gap between the uber wealthy and the low income individuals, you're going to have an offset economy. No. We need a balanced economy. And no, I'm not an economist, but I study this because so I can teach the people. My niche is education, you all. I am a teacher. I'm an apostolic teacher, all right? And that's why we're doing this video. That's why I'm coming on here today to share with you just to plant a seed about generational wealth. And if you want to learn more about this generational wealth and more tactics and more strategies, you can go to MikeFavors.com. I'll provide the link below. But once again, go to MikeFavors.com and look at the link or the tab Occupy Now. That's the real estate company that I'm a CEO of. And that's what the mode of mechanisms, the mode that we use to teach people how to gain wealth through real estate. I personally believe that real estate is one of the most important venues for people to gain wealth. I can teach you almost a no money down cash system, that no cash down, no money down, and that can change your bottom line and change your whole life. Okay. But more about that. This broadcast, this is not about that. This one is about generational wealth, planting the seed to educate yourself, educate your sons and daughters, educate your family and friends. We've got to start having this hard conversation. We are not in the days where you're going to be able to say, well, so-and-so wouldn't give me this. So-and-so wouldn't give me a leg up. It has nothing to do with what so-and-so is doing or what they is doing, but it has everything to do with your ability to read, to study, to educate yourself so that you know the laws and know what has to be in place so that you can maximize and optimize your ability to create wealth for the next 2-3 generations. Okay. So with that being said, I want to thank you all as always for joining the broadcast. Please remember to share this broadcast and subscribe to the page. We want this page to grow so we can continue to give business, education, financial literacy, tips and strategies on how to do what you need to do, how to secure yourself and your family. This is Apostle Mike Favors, and I thank you. I'll see you on the next broadcast.